Here we go. So first things first, we want to make sure everyone's oven is set to 350 degrees to preheat. If it's not set to that, let's do that right now. That's our first step, is we always preheat the oven. And make sure that there's nothing in the oven, no pans or anything. And I just checked mine. We have a pan from when we cooked something in there. That is not good. See? We always want to check that. So a couple of our ingredients that we need to get out. My people who are live with me, you just did this, but if you are watching the recording, the things that were not sent home were baking powder, not baking soda. Baking powder comes in the little can with the lid. You're gonna need salt, and it needs to be the very small, fine salt, not the chunky, coarse salt. You need vanilla, and then you're gonna need some sort of spray to spray your baking dish so that you don't, so that your bread doesn't stick, okay?
We put a hole in the bag where it's going to smush the spot.
Okay. So our first step is going to be in a large bowl. Get your large bowl ready. We are going to combine our brown sugar, our butter, our eggs, and our vanilla. So let's start with brown sugar. I have pre-measured everything for you. So we need 1.5 cups of brown sugar, so we can dump this whole bag right into our bowl, okay?
No!
We'll go right here.
Last one.
There we go.
Her project. She's allowing you to help.
And then our next thing is butter, but we have to melt the butter. We can't put a cold stick of butter in there. Typically you just want warm butter or room temperature, but this recipe calls for melted butter. So what we need to do is get a microwave safe bowl, and we need to melt this butter. I'm gonna cut mine in half because my bowl is a little bit small.
I will be back.
Sounds good. So I've cut my butter in half, microwave safe bowl, and I'm gonna pop it in the microwave for about 30 seconds.
I'm back. It's in there.
Excellent.
I hear someone else's microwave.
Perfect.
It's yours.
Yeah. Be very careful when you take the butter out. So what I'm gonna do, there's still a couple of chunks in here you can see in my butter. So I'm just gonna stir it up so that those kind of chunkier pieces disappear. Make sure we're very careful when we take the microwave safe bowl out of the microwave. We do not want to burn ourselves. So next step,
Yep.
the butter goes into the brown sugar mixture. Okay, we're pouring the whole entire thing into this brown sugar. There we go. I'm just gonna mix in some of my brown sugar using this knife. Obviously we'll be using a
I got it.
spoon. Good, so pour it right in there, and then you can make sure that it's all incorporated.
With this?
Yep, you can use your whisk, you can use a spoon. I'm just using my knife because I have it handy. We're still not done adding things to this mixture yet. So, next step is the eggs. You should have 2 eggs that you've received. And like I told you before the break, I'm working on a special little project, so I'm cracking my eggs in a special way. You can crack your eggs however you'd like to get them into your bowl, because I'm saving my eggshells. You don't need to worry about that. So I'm just gonna...
What are you working on a project for?
For our second to last week of after school program, we're gonna use these eggshells for a cool little project I'll tell you about later. But I need to crack my eggs like this so I can keep the bottom.
Where do you put them?
I store them in an empty egg container that I had from before. So,
They don't go bad?
what's that?
They don't go bad with the old egg pieces on it?
Nope, I rinse them out.
Oh. Do I put both eggs in?
Correct. We want both eggs in our mixture. I am going to go ahead and switch to...
There's a piece of tape on my egg.
Yes, I taped the cardboard casing because I wanted to protect the eggs while they were traveling home with you all. Okay, so eggs are in. Next step is our vanilla. And we need one...
I'm gonna go wash my hands.
Yes, wash your hands. Good call. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Here's some spoons.
TSP is tablespoon, right?
We want a teaspoon, not a tablespoon. We want TSP. Tablespoon is this big one. TBSP.
That's what I meant.
Oh.
TSP.
Yes, TSP. That is 1 teaspoon, and that's how much we need. So now we've got our bag of brown sugar, 1.5 cups of brown sugar.
Dump it.
What's that?
Dump it.
Yes. So 1.5 cups brown sugar, 2 eggs, 1 full stick of butter, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And we're just gonna mix and get it all nice and incorporated, meaning everything's together.
Like my egg yolks cracked.
Yeah, we don't want those yolks to stay together. We want everything mixed in.
I cracked them.
Perfect. So if you look at my mix, there's no trace of eggs or vanilla or butter. Everything is a nice consistency.
I can see eggs.
Yeah, keep mixing until you don't see egg anymore.
Okay.
So this bowl, this recipe, when I initially read it, was a 1 bowl recipe. I am going to tell you something about baking. I am not usually a fan of 1 bowl recipes. Usually you want to incorporate the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients separately, and then we'll mix them together at the end. So if you have a second bowl nearby, I'm gonna have you get a second bowl ready, okay? So our brown sugar mixture is going off to the side. Once you've incorporated, make sure everything's mixed. Let me know when you're ready to move on.
What do I put in?
All right, so next step, if you are ready, we're going to do the flour. This is a measured bag of 1.5 cups of flour. Flour can be messy, so I would pour it as far into the bowl as you can so it doesn't shoot everywhere. Now we need our measuring spoons again. Once your flour's all in,
Do I put anything else in?
yes, we are going to add 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. So we need to find our 1/2 TSP. It looks like a 1/2 TSP. Yes, that looks correct. And when you do this, it kind of has a like an edge right here on it, so you can scoop.
Grip it.
Yep, so you can scoop and then scrape it on the edge so that your scoop is nice and flat, because we don't want to have too much or too little. So I've got a nice flat scoop. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder goes right in my bowl.
I almost put it in the dry ingredient and wet ingredient bowl.
That's okay.
Whoops.
And next, we're also gonna do another 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we did 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Now we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We gotta be careful with this one. We don't wanna go too much, because if you salt it too much, that's gonna be, salt brings out the flavors in chocolate, but if you do too much, you're definitely gonna taste it. And if you have a dry whisk, you can whisk this bowl. All of my whisks are still dirty from after school programs project yesterday.
What did you do?
We did little mini donut things. And I brought all my whisks with me to school. So I'm just gonna use a fork to make sure all of the salt and the baking powder and the flour are mixed in very nicely.
So mix it.
Yes, get it nice and mixed with everything that's in the flour bowl. We want everything incorporated really nicely.
I can see it in the air.
Yeah, it does kind of fluff up a little bit, the flour. Let me know when you're ready for the next step.
What's the next step?
The next step, we have to mix the wet and the dry ingredients. Peyton, are you ready for the next step? Okay, Ayla, are you ready? Yeah, but so when we do this, we want to do a little bit at a time. We're not just going to dump the whole thing. So what we're going to do is take one bowl, the bowl with the flour mixture, do like not even half, maybe just like a scoop like this.
I
Okay,
did 2 scoops.
that's fine. And then what we're going to do is mix. We're going to incorporate the dry into the wet. You gotta be careful, because if you stir too vigorously, your flour is gonna fly everywhere.
It's not right now.
Good. Okay. So I am ready for a little bit more flour mixture.
Wait, but we put brown sugar in. Isn't that dry?
It is, but so that's a very good question. Brown sugar, or whatever sugars you're using, that's what you always mix with the butter, okay? Unless the recipe tells you otherwise, but I don't think I've seen too many that say don't mix the butter with sugar. Very, very often you will see brown sugar gets mixed with the butter.
Do I pour the rest in now?
Yep. I'm at that last step too. And when baking, we also want to be careful that we're not over mixing. Some recipes, the dough will become very dry if we mix too much. So you want to mix enough to get everything incorporated. We don't want to see a lot of flour spots anymore. And once those flour spots are gone, we're good.
I got a lot of flour spots that stuck on my lips.
Yeah. Yep, that'll happen. Okay. So once you're ready, you can keep going. Once your flour spots are all gone and you have like a nice light brown golden color on your mixture.
It's thick.
It is thick. Yep. You might have to get a spoon to dig out of your whisk. Do you have something like a spatula that... Where's my other spatula? Can't show you the one that I had because it was very covered in stuff. Do you have a flat spoon like this, like a rubber spatula that you can use? That might help you a little bit better than your whisk. Yeah, I think that's great. So try and dig out some of the dough from your whisk and then use that as your mixer instead.
It's coming out.
Perfect.
She's not here right now. What? She's here.
All right.
Just wait a minute.
Okay, are we about ready or are you still working on your mixing?
I'm gonna mix a little more.
Okay. Those of you that are ready to move on to the next step,
I'm gonna get it all out.
perfect. This is 1 cup of chocolate chips. We are going to dump all of these chips into our mixture. Generally speaking, I do like you all to measure out your own ingredients, but for the sake of not sending home a ton of stuff, I broke everything down in the right measurements for us. So once we're to the chocolate chip part, we've been mixing our dough kind of a lot. We don't want to do it to the point where the dough is going to be very tough. So all we want to do is mix a couple of mixes until the chocolate chips are mixed in, and then we're good.
So only mix a little bit?
Yeah, just give it a few, it's called folding. You want to dump into the middle, and then you want to kind of go around the side into the middle and go around the side and into the middle. Just enough to get it mixed in, but not so that we're like really messing around with the dough. Looking good?
Like this? 1 second.
Okay. Yep, I think that looks, yeah, I think that looks excellent. Good job. All right, next step. I'm gonna set this off to the side real quick. We need to grease our 9 by 13 baking dish. So that's where your cooking spray, whatever you use, comes in handy. So we're gonna give it a couple shakes. And then we are spraying the bottom and the sides because we do not want our Blondies to get stuck.
See it in the air.
Yeah. And make sure you hold it a little bit away. If you hold it too close, it's gonna just be globs of oil. If you hold it farther away, it gives it like a nice spray throughout the whole pan.
I think I did it.
Yeah. So then our next step, we're going to take big spoonfuls of our mixture and we're gonna place it into the dish.
Okay. Stop it, Onyx. Go.
You want to make sure to use up your whole dish. We want it to be even because if we have some sides that are taller than others, it won't bake evenly. This is where you might have to use your finger, or you can use another spoon. If you're baking for other people, you're gonna want to use a spoon. If you're eating it yourself, I would say go for it. And then we just want to kind of spread around and flatten, make sure there's no gaps, get the corners filled in.
I think my pan's a little smaller than yours.
Well, that's okay. So that's a really good point to bring up. I have a 9x13 baking dish. Some of you may be using like a 9x9 or an 8x8 or a loaf pan. A loaf pan would be really tough to do this recipe in. You're just gonna need to bake it for a little bit longer, okay? So
She's not here.
our standard time is going to be 18 to 20 minutes at 350 degrees. Does anyone remember how we check to see if something is done?
Open it up.
We open it up, but what else do we need to do? How do we know if the inside of our mixture is done?
I don't know.
We stick a fork or a toothpick or a butter knife in, and if it comes out clean, then that means that our dish is done. If it comes out with a bunch of clumps of dough,
A toothpick.
what's that?
A toothpick.
A toothpick or a butter knife or something, whatever you have on hand. Most people like a toothpick because it's smaller, it doesn't make a hole. That I don't care, you know. For me, this is just staying in my house, so. If your toothpick or your butter knife or whatever you use comes out with dough on it, you need to cook it for longer. All right,
When I flatten it, I can see the bottom a little.
that's okay. It should dissipate and eventually be flat like this. Can you see the top of mine?
Yeah.
That's what you want it to look like so that everything's nice and even.
Yeah, mine's not even yet.
That's okay. It'll get there. And then as soon as you're ready, let me know because we're going to put it in for 18 to 20 minutes. And then we'll end the meat. So you're going to have to watch very carefully your timer.
1 minute. I'm just gonna, after I put it in the oven, okay?
How's it coming?
I'm good.
Good? Peyton, are you good? Nice.
It's not flat. I can see a bottom spot.
Okay. Yep, just fill, if you can see the bottom of the tray, then just make sure you fill out, make sure there's no, that we can't see through the bottom of our tray, but it doesn't have to be perfectly flat. You're gonna have a few bumps.
Like this.
Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So last step, we're gonna put it in the oven on your middle-ish rack, whatever that may be for you. I think mine is 2 from the top. And we're gonna go for 18 to 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do,
Can I put it for 19?
yeah, if you wanted to start with 19. I'm gonna start with 18, and then when it gets to 18, I'm gonna take it out, and then I will test it with a toothpick or a knife, and we'll check it out. And then I will, if it's not good, I'll put it back in for a few minutes, and we're just gonna keep doing that back and forth until the toothpick or the knife or whatever you use comes out clean, okay? No dough on it. Does that make sense?
I have a middle rack.
That's okay. Just put it on the top. I think you'll be fine. Yep, put it on that top one. There we go. And then make sure we have oven mitts to take it out. So everybody set your timers right now. And then...
So the 18-minute timer.
And then we will check it. So I'm going to end our meet. And just remember to keep checking your timer. And if you have any questions, send me an email real quick, okay? I'll have my computer open.
Okay.
All right.
Goodbye.
Have a great day. See you later.
Bye.
Okay, so this is what my blondies are looking like at this point. Hold them up. It should be nice and golden on top. You can see where I stabbed it in the middle. My knife is coming out clean, which is what we want. I ended up needing to add an extra 7 minutes to my time. So I originally started with 18 minutes. And then it was looking a little runny on top. So I added another 5 minutes and then decided to do another 2 for a total of 25 minutes. So everyone's going to be a little bit different. You do want to let these cool a lot. They're going to hold their shape a lot better. Everyone's time is going to be different. Like I said, your oven is going to run differently than mine. So you might get away with, some of you might have been right on the money with 18 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you started with. And yeah, I ended up going just a little bit longer. So I hope you all enjoy your Blondie brownies, and then I will see you next week. I can't remember what we're making, but I will send you an email midweek, okay? Have a great weekend.